2.
Hi, this is the Black Bear Prepper, and today I want to talk about the best Jetboil stove of all time. Now, I have never been a Jetboil fan, so they've never simmered. They worked poorly in cold weather and high elevation, and they didn't hold enough water for me, myself. So one of my friends, he said, hey, look, I got the new Jetboil Minimo. I want you to test it out for me and take a look and see what you think. So I put it up against my favorite stove, the Primus Etta Express. So I love this stove. I've had it for a long time. I've used it a ton. I really do like this stove. Saying that, the Jetboil Minimo is a great stove. And absolutely hands down the best Jetboil I've ever tested. And I've tested, I always use the Jetboil as kind of my test against item. So testing it again, testing other stoves against the Jetboil to see what they do. And I've never found the Jetboil to really do what it says it's going to do. Not that it's a bad stove. It's always been a good stove. It is locked together, which makes it easy to hang and works real good in your tent if you want to cook inside the tent, which you shouldn't. But they've come out with some new features that I really liked. One big problem I've always had with Jetboil is the fact that it did not hold a 220 gram canister. So, and they've done something to improve that, which was really nice. So, here we go. Let me kind of talk a little bit about the actual stove itself. Now, it comes all sealed in one container, which is really nice. This guy here is your measuring cup and your little cover that protects your flux ring here on the bottom, which is nice. You could eat cereal or whatever you want out of that. The issue with this guy here is it's not insulated. So they did make some of their older versions that had insulated cozies that were nice. You could actually put boiling water in. This one's not, so it wouldn't be much. I mean, if you're holding a pair of gloves or something like that. But if you're measuring stuff in there, to me, fairly useless. That may be the greatest feature you love on this stove. That's great for you. I don't like it. I do love this though. I love metal handles. This is a great feature. They work really well. I've never been really impressed on how, everybody's like, well, you can just pick up the stove by hand. I've never really been impressed that they actually, it's not, when they're boiling water, they're still pretty darn hot. So I like having metal handles. They stayed cool for the whole time I used it, and personally really liked it. The other thing I really like, this is my favorite feature that Jetboil has ever put out, is their pot stand that allows you to fold it up and put it inside the canister. I've actually bought these for my stoves. Now, I'll tell you right now, I've had all kinds of pot stands. This one works really, really well. It's got little rubber feet on there in case you're on rock that's kind of slippery. You can buy them at REI for about $6. Well worth, if you have another stove, buy one of these. Definitely well worth it. Now, and like I said, I put them on my other stoves. So I've embraced Jetboil to a certain point. So it will fit either the 110 gram canisters or the 220 canisters. Really like that feature. I've always used the Primus ones. Nothing wrong with the Primus ones, but they don't fit inside the pot. So that's always a pain that they don't ever fit in, so it's kind of hard. I end up sticking them inside the bag next to it. So I always kind of stick it down the bag, which is fine, but sometimes they get left behind because they don't all fit in there real nice. So something to think about. Their lid, it's a push-on lid that locks on real nice and locks it on there. I've never cared for that because it's kind of a pain to tell when you're boiling water. And these tend to boil water really fast after they start. So what I mean by that is when it hits a rolling boil, it starts exploding water out of these things. They are compatible with their coffee system, their coffee press, which is really nice. It does have the drain rings and the ability to be able to drink completely out of the cup. So if you're a coffee drinker or whatever, that something that I know my friends that are kayakers, they cannot live without their Jetboil just for that reason. Other stoves have it too, but this one does have the nice feature that you can drink right out of it, which is kind of cool. It's a flexible lid. You know, I've never had any friends that have said they've broken any of these. Definitely, you know, one of those things. Here is my big con. The way the stove nestles in with only a 110 gram canister. Why, Jetboil, did you not fix this problem? Now, with the Minimo and the Micromo, both of them will only hold a 110 gram canister. I hate that. I like 220 gram canisters. This canister cost $4.90. This canister cost $5.99. $5.50 actually. So for the price difference, for double the fuel, I pay an extra $1. Okay? And I get twice as much cooking out of it. Now, do I like the real big canisters? For about $8, you can get the bigger canisters, and you're getting even more, you know, price advantage there. No, because I've had these canisters leak on me, and I always like to have one extra canister above what I have because of that leakage factor. So, will it fit? Yes. Something to think about if you're going to do it. Now, this stove comes in 3 versions. I told you it did have a new way of solving this problem. Comes in the Micromo, the Minimo, and the Sumo, which is the one I would recommend you purchase if you want to do anything more than 2-person cooking. The reason for that is because you can put the full-size canisters in there, and you can do a liter of water boil times, okay, which this one will only do half liter, or 2 cups. So why do I even care? What's the new feature that's come out on the stove? It is this guy right here. It is the new Minimo regulation system that is on this. This is different than the sole regulating system. The sole regulating system would not simmer. This stove rocks. It simmers perfectly. It does do really well simmering. Now you'll notice that they changed the burner head on this stove. And they changed the actual the little sparker that does the igniting. So the little igniter, this is a push button igniter, so if you want, some people take them off to save weight. I don't think it's worth it. I think having to carry 50 matches or a lighter it really worked very well the whole time we were testing it. But it is a similar system to the Primus stove. If you look at the old Jetboils, they had kind of an open burner here with a little bit of mesh in the middle, which I never felt worked very well. This burner system works very, very well. In the wind, it didn't tend to do very good, in my opinion. It seemed to do just as good as any other stove. Let's put it that way. So adding a windscreen is definitely an advantage. You can use the old ones out of the MSR stoves, or you can buy, if you watch some of my other videos, I use the metal, you know, bracketing system on there, which works really well in the wind. Definitely a plus that they've changed out that burner, and they've also changed out their spark igniter, which the old ones we had all kinds of problems with, and they constantly went bad. They also cut a bunch of holes in here to lighten this guy up. Definitely an advantage there. You know, overall, a great stove. And I don't ever like to put down a stove, but it is a stove that is the old standard Jetboil style system. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about my experience I had with it. And the biggest thing I'll tell you is that the simmerability is huge. You have a massive amount of turns. Normally with the old style you could turn the knob maybe 1 turn. This one does about 2 to 3 turns. Big advantage there. Now what I'll tell you, instead of making a 12-hour video on all kinds of boil times, I'll tell you what I got. With a full canister, we did it at 40 degrees. We were able to do, I put it against my old standard, the Primus. I got a 2-minute boil time out of the Jetboil, and I got a 1 minute and 32 seconds out of the Primus. Now I got about 7 grams of fuel consumption, or about 6 grams out of the Primus. So pretty similar there at 40 degrees, which is where all the stoves really work down to pretty well. Now out of a empty canister, or basically the last couple burns I could get out of a 110 gram canister, I got out of the Primus, I got a 2 minute and 10 second boil time. These are half-liter boil times, remember, because it won't. This particular one won't do full liters. And I got a minute and 39 seconds out of the Jetboil, and that's at 60 degrees with tap water. You know, reasonable. Definitely better than what it says. It says it does a 2 minute 15 second boil time average, which I found to be pretty reasonable. Now, we did do a cold weather down to 0 degrees. We basically froze the stove and everything with tap water. And we got 3 minutes and 30 second boil time. Not unreasonable at that lower temperature, so definitely that regulator does help. You can definitely hear a massive difference in the cold weather. Anybody that says that these are cold weather stoves has never used a cold weather stove. Now, we did pump it up back up to its 20 degree mark to kind of get where we thought 20 degrees would be a good idea. At 20 degrees, we were able to do 2 minutes and 30 seconds for the Jetboil, or sorry, 2 minutes and 30 seconds for the Primus at 8 grams of fuel consumption. Here's where the really crazy thing happened, and why we're going to be testing it again here in front of you guys. Our boil time for the Jetboil actually got massively better as it got colder. And I don't know if that was because it was running off the butane or whatever, but it did a 2 minute and 15 second boil time at 20 degrees and used 4 grams of fuel. So it even went better as it got colder, where the Primus got worse as it got colder. So the rating on the side of the can and the packaging is kind of, in my opinion, kind of a lie. I got 15 liters of water out of my standard Primus stove. I got 18 liters of water out of a 220 gram canister for the Jetboil. Definitely a plus there. You're going to get more. It looks like it tends to sip fuel. And you could probably get a little even better if it was in standard conditions with no wind. I try to kind of keep mine outside and kind of have more of that kind of an idea. The great thing, they changed the push button igniter on there. New regulator, which it does simmer. And it does tend to work all the way down to, it looks like at least 20 degrees very well. And not even below that, it worked just fine, down to 0, which I still would not consider a cold weather stove. But I did see it actually work just fine. So and then cons. So those are kind of the pros. It definitely is. Like I said, definitely the hands down best stove out there. Con for the Minimo is that it only holds 110 gram canister. These little guys right here. Buy the Sumo. I definitely recommend buying the Sumo so you can hold the bigger canisters. Unless you're going by yourself, it's not worth it to only have these little bitty canisters. They cost just as much and they're a pain. You know, that you go through them twice as fast. Especially if you're in the cold weather. You're up in areas where you're going to get below that 20 degree mark. You want those bigger canisters. So we're going to do a boil time real quick. Should only take us a couple seconds here. We're going to do 2 cups of water. I have already weighed this particular canister. Let me pour out a little bit here. Okay, so I've already weighed this particular canister. This particular canister came in at 338 grams. It's about a mid-area canister where we've used it a few times, but it is definitely got more life to it for certain. So we're going to go ahead and put in our 2 cups of water here. See if we can get her lit. And you'll notice when I turn it on, you're going to see me actually spin this thing quite a few times before we even hear the gas come out. I actually thought it was broken when I first did it. So, and the igniter fires right up. As I forget to turn on my timer here. So that's full blast. A very quiet stove, truthfully, overall. So we're gonna do the final on-screen boil time. You guys will be able to see just as much as everybody else. And like I said, that I don't like these pot lids because they're hard to kind of tell when things are boiling. And we'll see what we get. I'm assuming we're gonna get about a minute and 30-second boil time out of it. And we'll see how much it actually consumed while it was doing it. So like I said, this is a mid-level canister. This is the canister that, you know, about mid-level way through. We've used it for several boil times. The crazy thing is it does get louder without actually boiling. If you hold on to it, it feels like the pot is boiling. It's not. So I wish they'd bring back that flash symbol on the side that kind of tells you when it's getting ready to boil, which was kind of nice with the flash stoves. But liter boil times are always going to go down. So remember, the more water you can put in a stove to a certain point, usually about a liter or 2 liters, you're going to save fuel. So getting that bigger stove, and we're boiling right now here. We're boiling, we're not at a rolling boil yet. And a minute and 28 seconds to a full rolling boil. So let's take this guy and we're going to go ahead and pull her apart. Now, like I said, I don't like Jetboil's idea that it is, you know, that you can't pop it apart. It's a little hard to get on and off. So we're going to go ahead and be real careful, guys. This is a hot canister and we normally don't want to do hot canisters, but for you guys, we'll do it. So let's go ahead and give this canister a test and see what kind of fuel consumption we got out of this. Now, and again, the fuel consumption was awesome on this guy. We're looking at 334 grams, which is a 4-gram consumption, which is huge as far as fuel efficiency. So if you're looking for a fuel efficient stove, if you're doing multiple day trips, the Jetboil wins hands down. It's just a much better, and for being able to boil water like that, that's not bad at all. Okay. So do the math in your head. Like I said, we're 4 grams. It took us a minute and 28 seconds to do it. So you'll have to do the math at home. Figure out whether this is going to work for you or whether the stove you already have works just fine. But definitely pick the Sumo out of the kit versus the Minimo, in my opinion, just so you can hold the extra water. But overall, it is definitely Jetboil's best stove so far. And a great option for most people, and you can find them right now for about the $80 range. They run about $130 brand new, or in the full price range. So, and about $159 for your Sumos. But remember, in your Sumos, make sure you're getting the Minimo regulator, not the Soul regulator. That one did come out. This one came out in 2015, and they switched the new regulator onto the Sumos. This is definitely what you want. You do not want to buy the Sumo with the old regulator. You want to buy the new regulator. And at that point, it's a great stove that works great and sips fuel. About anywhere from, 2 or 3 grams less every single boil time, which is huge. So this is the Black Bear Prepper. As always, have a great day. Please leave comments on the bottom. Like us. Share us on Facebook if you'd like. It is how we are able to do these videos and pay for the gas to do these videos. So like and subscribe. Have a great day.